Okay, let's go ahead and begin.
Well, good afternoon, everyone. This is Brian Anderson, President and CEO of the ChamberRVA, Greater Richmond's Chamber of Commerce. We welcome you to our Education Forum, Equity and Opportunity in Education. This is our fourth in a series of 5. Today's session entitled Providing Pathways. And we'll have 3 panelists, Lori Coker, Harrison Hayes, and Jennifer Boyle, join us in a few minutes to talk about this very important topic. For those who have been on the previous 3 webinars, we thank you for continuing with us. It's been an important conversation. We're getting great feedback around these topics, and we appreciate your support in being with us today. These types of programming do not happen without our wonderful and generous sponsors. This entire series is presented by our presenting sponsor, Dominion Energy, our gold sponsors, Altria, Capital One, and Virginia 529, and our silver sponsor, Facebook. And so we appreciate those companies providing the resources they do to make sure these conversations are able to take place. To help us today from our presenting sponsor, we have Christopher Neal joining us from Dominion. Crystal serves as Director of Talent Acquisition and Workforce Planning and is a former Chamber of Commerce, ChamberRVA executive and professional. So Crystal, we welcome you back to our team, but also we look forward to hearing your comments about today's webinar.
Thanks so much, Brian. I really appreciate it. As Brian said, I used to serve as the Executive Vice President of ChamberRVA before joining Dominion Energy. So in a way, having worked at ChamberRVA for 8 years, this is somewhat of a homecoming for me, and I am very pleased to be here. I want to thank you for letting me share a few thoughts today about an important issue. I am so glad this event is focused on companies that are growing their own workforce development programs. That is something we do at Dominion Energy, and frankly, it is something more companies should be doing. Because while we certainly support and encourage workforce preparation in the schools, we can't expect the schools to do it all. They have a lot on their plates already, especially this fall with the pandemic. Schools can make sure young people are ready for the ladder of success, but someone else needs to help them grab the rungs and start climbing by offering career exploration, mentoring, skills training, and similar programs. At Dominion Energy, we do this through a constellation of internal workforce development efforts that include a robust internship program, a career development center, open enrollment courses covering a myriad of topics, and programs for aspiring and emerging leaders. We also work closely with partners in our community and industry, including education. We support the Solar Hands-On Instructional Network of Excellence, which works with the public, private, and nonprofit sectors to train people for careers in the solar industry. For the past 13 years, we've been a part of the Center for the Energy and Workforce Development. That's a nonprofit consortium of electric, natural gas, and nuclear utilities that focuses on building a skilled workforce pipeline for the utility industry. In partnership with the Center for Energy Workforce Development, we helped launch the Troops to Energy Jobs program, and we are consistently ranked among the best employees for military veterans. In fact, 1 in 5 of our new hires is a veteran. We have an agreement with Partnership for the Future, a college preparation and workforce development program aimed at breaking the cycle of poverty. Partnership for the Future provides summer internships for high school students, and at the end of 2019, we had 8 Partnership for the Future students interning with us. We have been involved from the start with the ChamberRVA internship program, where young people from underrepresented communities participate in a work-study experience. Last year, in its first year, we welcomed 4 students from ChamberRVA into our company as interns, and we have plans to work with them again during this school year. And I would be remiss if I did not mention our long-standing partnership with ChamberRVA on its middle school career exploration program named Mission Tomorrow. We have been a leading supporter of that terrific effort since its inception. Our company's vision is all about building a clean and sustainable energy future. So when we speak publicly, we tend to focus on things like our wind project off the coast of Virginia, which will be the biggest offshore wind development in all of the Americas. We like to note that we have the third largest solar portfolio among utility holding companies, and that we have formed negative emission waste-to-energy partnerships with hog and dairy farmers, and that we are building new energy storage to support renewables, all of which we are very proud of. But none of those projects even can get off the ground without good people to do the work. To execute our plans, we need a well-trained workforce just like all of you do. So while providing pathways to career advancement might not be our biggest project, it certainly ranks among our most important and longest lasting. Thank you, and I'm looking forward to a terrific program this afternoon.
Thank you, Crystal, today, and all the work you did with us over the time period that you were with ChamberRVA. Your contributions have been noted, and you will be long remembered as making a big contribution to this region and to ChamberRVA, so thank you. And also to your company, Dominion Energy. I think we all know just how committed you are to not only Virginia and the greater Richmond region, but also everywhere that you operate. And we appreciate you being a part of this series, but all the work you do in supporting ChamberRVA.
Thank you, Brian. It's an honor to be here.
Thank you, ma'am. I want to introduce our panelists today. Once again, thanks to Shirazi Nelson, our Director of Workforce Programming, we have a well thought out show today for you to talk about these important issues around providing pathways to good employment. And we've got three panelists with us. I want to introduce those to you so you know just the type of talent that are joining us today to talk about this important conversation. First, Jennifer Boyle. Jennifer joined Mentor Richmond as Executive Director in 2020. She plays a critical role in building a sustainable and effective organization that's dedicated to promoting effective youth mentoring throughout Virginia. Mentor Virginia is a backbone nonprofit organization for mentoring programs throughout the Commonwealth, and it builds capacity for programs through training, program assistance, quality assessment, and advocacy. Each year, Mentor trains over 1,600 mentors and mentees, provides over 900 hours of free consultation to program partners, and places AmeriCorps VISTA members throughout the state with the sole purpose of building capacity for mentoring programs. Jennifer's enjoyed 18 years of nonprofit experience, exclusively in organizations that serve youth. Prior to Mentor Virginia, she served as the Vice President of Operations for Junior Achievement of Central Virginia. At JA, she promoted the work readiness, entrepreneurship, and financial literacy programs. And before joining Junior Achievement, she served as Director of Director of Development, Director of Education, and Director of Guest Services with the Children's Museum of Richmond, an organization dedicated to learning through play. Jennifer graduated from the Virginia Commonwealth University with a Bachelor's of Science in Administration of Justice. She's a graduate of the nonprofit Learning Point Emerging Nonprofit Leaders Program and is a proud member of the Leadership Metro Richmond class of 2018. Jennifer sits on the Leadership Advisory Council for the Virginia Partnership for Out of School Time and on the board for Virginia's Jumpstart Coalition. Jennifer, we look forward to having you on the panel. Harrison Hayes is the Director of Workforce Development Strategies at VCU Health, where he oversees a workforce development initiative that provides pathways to employment and career development opportunities for residents of Richmond. Harrison has worked closely with a number of local community organizations, workforce organizations, and local public school systems to recruit and design a program that's reached over 500 local residents in the last 2 years. Harrison has a passion for helping others and cares deeply about the Richmond community. He's committed to achieving VCU's health science pipeline and community engagement goals, and while also helping VCU Health meet its responsibilities as an anchor institution, he is also passionate with work experience in financial aid, nonprofit management, and counseling, where he designs and implements high-impact workforce programs which service the Richmond community. In 2016, Harrison earned his Master's of Education degree in Counselor Education from VCU, and in 2013, he earned his Bachelor's degree from Howard University in Political Science. We welcome you, Harrison, to today's panel. And Lori Coker is a Community Impact and Investment Capital One. Lori is a native Virginian, fell in love with nonprofits and social change when she was only a teenager. She's inspired by her own personal experiences at school, sports camps, and youth groups that incorporated community service. She quickly developed a deep passion for community engagement, volunteerism, and social justice advocacy. This resolve stuck with her through college and graduate school, leading her to get her BA in Sociology and African American Studies, and her Master's in Social Foundations of Education from the University of Virginia, as well as her PhD in Public Policy and Administration from Virginia Commonwealth University. Lori is the program lead for Catapult, a Capital One workforce development program that provides young professionals opportunities to be great with the skills, experiences, and support that empowers them to reach their full potential through professional training, financial education, and workforce mentoring. Lori has extensive experience in community engagement, program management, and measurement and outcomes with previous roles with communities and schools of Richmond, the Boys and Girls Club of Metro Richmond, hands-on Greater Richmond, and Richmond Public Schools. Lori is currently on the board of directors for the Junior League of Richmond and has served on other boards such as Mentor Virginia and the Kiwanis Club of Richmond. When she is not rolling up her sleeves and working along these great nonprofits and community partners, she can be found making soap and body products for her company, Tohi Collection, which she donates 1 bar of soap for each one purchase. So welcome today, Lori, to this conversation, to this panel. We look forward to hearing from all three of you as we go through the show. We will start with Harrison. Welcome.
Thank you, Brian, for the introductions. I think I can speak for all of us on the virtual panel in saying that we are so excited to be with you all today to share the great work our organizations are doing in the region around workforce development. For the next 30 minutes, you'll hear how each of our organizations is engaging the Richmond community through workforce development initiatives and projects. As you are listening, please know our work is only a snapshot of the great work around the region from various organizations as it relates to developing our labor force. Next week, you'll hear from how a group of organizations is partnering together and has created the Regional Workforce Development Coalition to form a set of shared goals and system-wide approaches as it relates to workforce development in the Richmond MSA. One sector the coalition is focusing on its efforts on initially is the healthcare sector. And as many of you know already, healthcare is a major economic driver in the Richmond region. It continues to show rapid future projections in the region and across the nation. VCU Health recognizes the role it plays as an anchor institution in the region, and it started to develop workforce strategies aimed at addressing social determinants of health that have long contributed to unequal health outcomes for some residents. Research tells us that having a good paying job with career growth potential and good benefits can help improve health outcomes. 2 years ago, VCU Health launched Pathways Healthcare Workforce, a workforce development program designed to hire low-income residents under the age of 26 at VCU Health. The program consists of a series of workshops that help meet our first goal, which is getting hired. Our goals just don't stop there. Our intentions are to ensure that participants not only get employed, but stay employed. And then once they're staying employed, we want to make sure they're moving up their career ladder by accessing their educational benefits to pursue post-secondary education. To date, the Pathways program has engaged hundreds of young residents in the region and has employed over 75 residents. Now, I'd like to recognize some of the participants that have participated in the Pathways program. Jamal Snyder, who's the first participant in the purple, is a graduate of Henrico High School in 2012. And Jamal has a similar story that I think a lot of people can relate to. He was unsure of what exactly he wanted to do after he graduated from high school and thought that the best route for him was to go to community college. Unfortunately for him, he didn't do so well in community college his first year and unfortunately had to drop out, leaving him with a balance not only in student loans, but a debt with the university as well. Jamal came to our program in fall of 2018, participating in our second cohort. Jamal was hired after completing all the necessary workshops as a patient transporter, actually. But then Jamal transferred over because of the great work and the need at the hospital into a materials management technician role. Jamal right now serves as a materials management technician in addition to training patient transporters. Jamal gathers equipment across the hospital for different departments and plays a very important role right now as we're going through this COVID-19 pandemic. Jamal has been with the institution for this is now his 10th year, and he's just decided to go back to school, and he was able to pay off his balance with Reynolds. He was able to pay off some of his student loans, and right now he is registered for classes and will start, or maybe possibly has started already, at Reynolds with a major in psychology, and his career goal is to be a social worker. Jamal grew up in public housing and was able to purchase his first car just recently through the help of some of our staff members. We were able to secure him a vehicle so he could transport to and from work. Maria Martinez is another participant. She participated, she's a graduate of Huguenot High School last year. She participated in our summer 2019 cohort, which was last year. Maria was a participant that had the drive to go to school, the grades to go to school, but unfortunately didn't have the finances to go to school. Maria came to our program and did the series of workshops, was an outstanding participant, and we were able to hire her as a full-time role as a patient transporter, where she's been working for the past year. Maria was accepted into Reynolds School of Nursing program and intends to start her schooling there this year. Her career goal is to be a registered nurse. Clinton Williams is a unique participant. So just as many of your organizations, we had to make adjustments because of COVID-19. And early on in the year, we had done a lot of outreach to Richmond Public Schools, some Henrico County schools to get participants. And unfortunately, we had to make adjustments and transfer all of our workshops online, but we didn't stop. Clinton Williams was participate in this 2020 cohort that we had up in July. Clinton graduated from RPS's alternative school this year. When I first met Clinton was very unsure of what he wanted to do, but he did magnificent in the workshops. He broke out of his shell and he asked some really good questions, started networking with a lot of the managers virtually, which was impressive. And he secured a full-time position as a patient transport tech for our operating room this past July. Clinton just started his job, and like I said, when I first met him, he was unsure about what he wants to do. But after listening and doing some of our workshops, he now has a career goal to be a nurse anesthetist. So we've actually started to schedule some mentoring opportunities so he could see what exactly that role does at the hospital. So that's just a few of our participants. We have so many great participants in the program that have participated. But now Lori is going to discuss the great work that Capital One is doing with the Catapult program. Lori?
Thank you so much. Thank you. So yes, we're excited to be here and share more about what we do at Capital One with our Catapult program. It is a program that's really led by the business, which is a distinguishing factor. People often ask us how that's successful. So the Catapult program, as mentioned in the bio, is a workforce development program that focuses on recruiting and retaining diverse talent. The program's been in existence for over 3 years. In June, we celebrated our 3-year anniversary. And it's modeled after a program that we have in the Philippines, in Alabang, which is we have a large contact center there. And Paul Townsend, our accountable executive, was leading over there and wanted to know how could we bring this concept of workforce development and training and education back to Richmond. And so about 3 years ago, we put that together, and we've had 98 participants. We've offered over 96 full-time positions, and 59 are still employed with Capital One. And the goal really of Catapult is to provide what we call opportunity youth, use a research-based term, which I'm sure many of you are familiar with. We define that as 18 to 24-year-olds who are either unemployed or underemployed, but looking for an opportunity to be successful. They had the skills, the desire to develop the skills that are needed to be successful in the workplace. And really, it's just providing folks the opportunity to be great with the skills and experiences and support that will help them reach their full potential through professional training, financial education, and workplace mentoring. And so that we do that through partnering with the business. And so this is currently a card program, and we think having the leadership buy-in from the business has been a distinguishing factor. So I sit in part of external affairs, but really this is for the business. People often ask, is this charity? And the answer is no. So through this 6-week paid internship program, we work on financial education. We work on customer service skills. The ultimate goal is for a job placement in the contact centers, or call centers for a more familiar term. And so this is specifically is focusing on call center or contact center markets. And so we do focus on customer service skills. We focus on financial education or well-being, branding, personal and professional branding. Networking is a large component. How do you develop your skills? So we recruit from basically our nonprofit partners, Richmond Public Schools, and really focusing on those who are often overlooked, but want to be involved and want to grow professionally. And so it's an open application. I'm sure I'll save this because I'm sure it'll come up in the question portion, but we do have it as an open application. So anybody is able to apply to Catapult. And of course, we do ensure that our nonprofit partners, broadly speaking, are engaged and kind of locked in with our programming, really with the idea that we want to have support from both the community and from the business in terms of how these young professionals are successful. So the way this works is that the program components are that it's a 6-week paid internship. It's Monday through Friday, 9 to 5. And we strategically align with the line of business training. And so if they are hired, all of them have the opportunity to apply for an open role with Capital One at the contact centers. And if they are accepted, then that 7th week, they go right into the line of business training. So there's no gap in pay, which is really important. The demographics that we serve, and for anybody for that matter, it's just important to have the continuity. The training that we provide really focuses on what I just mentioned, but also we're focusing on communication skills in the professional environment. We're focusing on problem solving and using judgment. Customer service obviously is a critical component for the success, especially working with the contact center. We are a financial institution, so financial well-being is critical to understand how credit works, to understand how savings work, and of course, personal branding. I think what's most noted is that the financial component about savings, about credit score, how to increase your credit score, those are often areas that the alumni say, why are we just now learning this at 18, 21, et cetera? So, thinking through how do we partner with schools and nonprofit partners to kind of establish that throughout the programming, their programming, so that this is not the first time that they really are learning these skills. So that's something that we're kind of thinking through about how to evolve the program to work with our community partners and school systems. Another component of Catapult is offering mentoring. So we keep our cohorts small, usually about 6 to 8 interns, and each intern is partnered or paired with a mentor, a professional mentor. And so if they are hired, and once they are hired, we ask that mentor stay with them for a year, and that's part of mentoring best practices. I'll say here that we have partnered with Mentor Virginia on training our mentors. We think it's really important to have that as a professional component of our program, because the individuals with whom we recruit and really need additional support. Oftentimes this is the first time that they've worked in a corporate environment. Many of them come from a retail background. So we've noticed that it's really important to have someone other than their manager that they can kind of ask these questions about how to navigate a corporate space. And so that's been a really important component of our program, and one that we've invested in. Specifically, as we continue to grow, the need for alumni support is critical for the retention aspect that are part of our outcome measurement. One of the things that makes Catapult unique is we really tried to understand what the barriers are. So many of you all know this, but the 4 major barriers for employment are transportation, education, substance abuse, and childcare. And so we are trying to identify knowing that information, how do we solve for that so that people can be as successful as possible once they become part of our program. And so we work with Lyft, we partner with Lyft on transportation. So for those who need transportation support during the internship, we provide them some opportunities to work with Lyft to solve for the transportation barrier. We will say that once they're hired, we hope that they are using their financial education skills about savings so that they can purchase reliable transportation. An example of how we partner with community partners would be Ways to Work. And so we bring in our community partners, we bring in the community resources so that the education is not just with Capital One Community Impact Investment Team, but actually with the interns, with our mentors, as well as managers. And so that is one way that we are addressing transportation and also utilizing the curriculum. So it's very personalized, individualized instruction. And so we know that reliable transportation is a key component for success, for employability and for long-term success. So if someone identifies that as a goal, we work with the mentors to ensure that we're constantly working on that goal and also providing them with resources such as Ways to Work. We also have what's called the Catapult Alumni Program. And so part of what makes Catapult unique is really it's a very familial environment, it's very family-like, and that's part of our success. John Bennett, our trainer, has been a wonderful advocate and resource in connecting with our interns. And so he has been able to establish, he and the other trainers, we also operate in Las Vegas, but I'll speak specifically about Richmond for this audience. But he has been able to connect to an unbelievable level. Trust is often a challenge for many of our interns and alumni, and so he's been able to develop that quickly. What we've noticed is that they want to continue that fellowship and also professional development once they're hired. And so we have a quarterly meetings that really focus on areas of interest for their professional development. So it's youth driven, it's young professional driven rather. And so that is strategic and to help them with both their development and also to continue with the fellowship. And then we really think it's important for associate engagement. So at Capital One, volunteerism is critical and it's encouraged. And so we find ways in which we can partner with our associates and also our talent to develop talent pools and possible pipelines for our alumni. And so we have Catapult mentors, which I've already discussed. So those are all associates who are interested in making that investment. And then we have what's called Catapult connectors. And those are individuals who would like to stay connected to the program, are interested in seeing people's success, and also having the opportunity to develop their own skills in which they'd like to practice or put into action, both personally or professionally. And so those are more done in a day or one-off opportunities such as career panels or networking, pro bono opportunities. That's how we partner with our associates. So it's really a Venn diagram, if you will, about how we engage the community, how we're meeting business needs, and how we're engaging associates. So to date, this is a business case, as I've mentioned before. We have seen that our Catapult agent performance against peers shows that the Catapult agents are performing on par or above peers by most key metrics. And so that's a critical component for us to measure and to be able to articulate to the business for continued investment and expansion. We have top performers in both top 10%, top 25%. We've had most valuable associates. So our long story short, and to use terms that layman's terms, is that our alumni are high performers and they want to continue performing well. I think what's equally as important, because this is a holistic program, is the economic empowerment case. And so these are really, as I mentioned earlier, we really try to customize or individualize the goals, personally and professionally, for our interns and alumni. And so of those who have identified transportation as something they'd like to work on, a goal, 74% of current employees that have done that, of alumni, have secured reliable transportation since program completion. These are all self-reported. I think housing is also something that we focus on, so housing stability. So 47% of currently employed alumni who have identified that as a goal have secured independent housing. I think it's just important to recognize that once we really think about the holistic approach, we try to connect them with wraparound services if needed. So by partnering with other organizations such as Goodwill for other things that we need support in. So we try to stay in our lane and use community resources where they're best suited to support us. We also partner with internal stakeholders like the Career Development Center, so to ensure that they have career coaches. So this is really about bringing in top talent, often folks that are overlooked by their circumstances, by their education, and this is one way in which we are going out into the community and providing opportunities where they might not have had them before. And so I think Daniel Jones, who is on the screen here, he has been a stellar example of an alumni. He was actually part of our pilot cohort. This was piloted originally with the Boys and Girls Club of Metro Richmond, which Daniel was a part of. And he has a very wonderful story, and you guys can check out an Upworthy article. Just Google Upworthy article, Daniel Jones Catapult, and you'll find it. But he basically walked 7 miles. He started off at one school, but recognized that a different school would be better for him. So he walked 7 miles to get to school. And one day he saw a bus, and it was a little white bus. And he kind of said, what is this? And it was the Boys and Girls Club of Metro Richmond. So he is an example of resiliency, of creativity, of passion, and he has thrived. And so he was part of that pilot cohort. We have since changed the curriculum and the structure since then, but he was able to provide input on how to make the program better. So again, this goes back to really engaging our participants to improve programs and processes. He was part of our second cohort and was offered a job. So he's been with Capital One for over 2 years. He has also really invested in himself personally and professionally. And so he has partnered with our Capital One cafes and Richmond Public Schools to make a connection for his high school and others, where they are able to come into the cafes to receive the financial education training that's available to all community members. So if you're looking for a great resource, and although it's probably different now with COVID, but once we get that addressed, we hope that you'll come into our cafes to learn more about the services they provide. But Daniel was able to connect his personal experience, connect his high school with Richmond Public Schools, and also the cafes to kind of to help the community. He's very focused on the community and how to help engage them and connect in the resources. He has also done podcasts. So he's just an example. I think what resonates with me the most, and he also shared this on a podcast that he did recently, was, so his quote, "Catapult is a program that helped me become the best version of myself." He said that's how he defines Catapult, and really he provided context. He said that they're not saying like, this is what you need to be successful. It's more about what would you like, how do you define success? What would you like to see for yourself? And the program really enables folks to customize that, focusing on financial education, personal and professional branding, customer service skills to be successful at Capital One as just the starting point, as the catapult, if you will, to careers and opportunities within Capital One and elsewhere. And so in my last few minutes, I'll just say that, again, we've had 98 participants, 96 have been offered full-time employment, and 59 are still with Capital One. So we have a 98% conversion rate. I think what's interesting about those who have left Capital One is that they still come back to us and say that what they've learned through the curriculum has helped them for their next job, to get higher paying jobs, to get jobs that more align with their interest. And so we really look at this as an investment in both the business and the community and our community partners to help individuals be as successful as possible, and to, as Daniel says, to become the best version of himself. So he's, again, look him up. He's a wonderful example of our alumni and great talent that we have it here in Richmond if provided the opportunity. So finally, as I talk about mentoring, I'd like to just kind of introduce Jennifer. we have partnered, Catapult has partnered with Mentor Virginia on our mentoring training. And what's been great about partnering with them is that they are able to provide professional mentoring training for our mentors. They also have a manager training, which we've offered our managers of Catapult alumni. And so that's called, basically it's managing with the mentor mindset. That's been wonderful. We've received great feedback from that training. And then what's also unique is how to be a mentee. So how do these interns and alumni, how do they become a better mentee to actually receive that relationship better and to get more out of it? And Mentor Virginia has been an excellent thought partner in terms of how we develop our mentoring program, which is a critical component of our success. So Jennifer, I think I'd like to pass it over to you and look forward to the continued conversation.
Thank you so much, Lori. You did a great job introducing our program that focuses on workforce development. I'd like to thank the Chamber for holding this today and for all the sponsors. The program that I'm going to talk about, because we actually offer many, many types of trainings and consultation programs. This is called Connect, Focus, Grow. And as Lori had said, it really is a three-pronged approach towards mentorship in the workplace. And so the folks who are benefiting from the training are, as she said, young people who are entering the workforce, whether they're interns or employees, supervisors of those employees, and community or company-based mentors. And, this program, we've actually partnered with Capital One, VCU, Dominion, and several other companies throughout the Commonwealth. So the goals and outcomes for the young employee or intern or mentee, as Lori said, is that this training does teach them how to be present and authentic in the workplace. And it helps them gain a greater understanding of communication styles and effective communication techniques. But ultimately, we hope for that training to help build social capital. And this is their networks and their relationships and their web of support. And those are elements that are critical to workforce success. That includes securing and sustaining employment. And these are elements that so many young people do not have access to. For the supervisor, the training can help them build a relationship with the young person, and it gives them the tools to focus on collaborating rather than directing. It helps the young employees build and expand their web of relationships with the relationship with the supervisor. The supervisor can help them identify career goals and map action steps to reach those goals. And it allows the supervisor to practice curiosity, humility, and a respect for differences. And then the third prong of this approach is the mentor. And the mentor's role is really to help that young person focus and define their vision and goals and identify the resources and connections that can make it all happen. And so we call the mentor is the guide on the side. So it's not somebody who has all the answers. So Connect, Focus, Grow is a program that is intentional relationship building. It promotes a framework grounded in positive youth development, and it emphasizes that collaborative relationship. It engages the strengths of the supervisor and the young employee or intern. So the quote you see here on the screen is from a young intern, Raven, who participated in our training just 2 weeks ago with our Director of Programs and Partnerships, Natalie Foster. And you can see what Raven gained from the training as a mentee and how it changed her views of what mentoring really is, and that is it's a mutually beneficial relationship. And just to, Natalie is our trainer, and she is really one of the premier trainers for this program and actually works with groups across the country. So we have a real expert on our staff. We're lucky to have her. Connect, Focus, Grow is for companies and organizations that host temporary or permanent traditional internship programs, youth summer interns, or employ youth that are age 16 to 24 years of age. The benefits to the employer, and I know, Lori again touched on this earlier, but it really does include strengthening the talent pathways and increasing retention and engagement. So the content of the training can be customized to ensure relevance to company culture. So we actually have done this type of training with Mayor's Youth Academy. And although those young people are not necessarily entering the workforce at that point, it allows them to build a relationship with their mentors in the program. So this program continues to grow, and we really have the unique opportunity now to be offering kind of an extension or expansion of the program called the National Mentoring Project. And it places focus specifically on companies who are looking to bring in opportunity youth as interns and employees. And those youth are the 16 to 24-year-olds who are neither in school or working. And these young people often get placed into jobs or accept jobs without the relationship support that's needed to help them stay in those jobs and succeed. In 2019, this expanded version of Connect, Focus, Grow was piloted with Starbucks in 5 major cities across the country, and its success has led to expansion of the program in other cities, including Richmond, and actually across the Commonwealth. So along with this project with Opportunity Youth comes a tool, and that's an app that allows for coordinated development. And with the app, the mentor can set up meetings, create agendas, and make notes on those meetings. The mentee also uses the app and makes notes on the app. Again, focusing on this supportive and collaborative relationship between the parties involved. The benefits of the app are that it allows mentor to provide support if needed and provides the corporate partner data around programmatic trends that can improve the HR practices and retention strategies of Opportunity Youth. And this program is possible through the support of Mentor, the National Mentoring Partnership, of which we are an affiliate of, and the Schultz Family Foundation. We have the capacity and desire to continue to expand the Connect, Focus, Grow training program, and we're really looking to companies throughout the Commonwealth who are interested in implementing the program to help young people new to the workforce build those webs of support and find success in the workplace. So that's an overview of our workforce training program called Connect, Focus, Grow.
Thank you, Jennifer, and Harrison, Lori, all of you, I think framed up, the different things you're doing as organizations and your individual roles within that very well. But maybe to recenter all of the great material you just presented to us, why do we need these initiatives today? Why do you do what you do in the areas of workforce? Why is it needed?
I can start just by saying the cost of college is ridiculous. And you all probably know that because most of you attended college or have someone that you know that has attended school. The loans that folks take out, and it's just crippling. It really prevents young individuals from moving up, buying things like a home, gaining equity for themselves. And so when we are talking about the work that we do, I think that it provides an opportunity for individuals to get that work experience early on. So when they do go back to school, it provides them with a degree. It provides them not just the educational experience to get a good paying job, but also the work experience to actually qualify for certain positions. And I'll say just for ourselves at VCU Health, the participants that participate in our program, they receive educational benefits. That's one of the key incentives with our program that allows them to go back to school, where we pay $2,000 a year to the workforce for a year. So this is a really great way in which our institution, which we're helping to provide that educational pathway for those in the most need, but then also allowing them to see the full kind of the full extent of their career by being able to go back to school and build on their entry-level work that they started with us.
Great, Harrison. Jennifer, Lori, anything to add to that?
Sure. I think from a Capital One perspective, we really look at this as an opportunity to invest in great talent. And so we recognize that talent is everywhere, but opportunity isn't. And Catapult is one way in which we're addressing that. And so, as I mentioned earlier, this is driven by the business, which is a differentiator from other workforce development programs. So there's so many great nonprofits in the school systems that are really focusing on skills. I think what's unique about this is that we are aligning with the line of business training that has jobs available. So once they go through this continued program, they have an opportunity for a job placement should they be hired. And I think that's a difference. So this is really a business, again, the Venn diagram comes to mind. So how are we addressing business needs, community needs, and associate engagement and interest? So we really look at this as an investment in our workforce and by recruiting and retaining top talent. And this demographic specifically are underrepresented talent that has proven by using data and outcomes to demonstrate that they can succeed given the opportunity and proper resources. So I think that lends itself exactly to the conversation and the theme for this session about equity and opportunity, and that's what we're providing.
Well, I love to frame that around the business case because, again, this is why we as a chamber are very involved with workforce initiatives. We don't need we may not need to be the organization, implementing or executing a certain program or initiative, but certainly supporting and partnering, with Jennifer's organization and so many others. I think you said it exactly right. It's the business case. And I think back to pre-COVID when we had almost what many economists would call full employment. So if you needed to fill positions, you had a hard time doing so. And so all of us are having to rethink how we recruit and retain, but also how we train up talent, how we make sure that very qualified people in the sense of they want a career, they want to do the work, but they don't have the skill set. And so how do we intervene and replace or add to what they didn't get otherwise, whether it be through the K through 12 experience, not being able to go to college right after, whether it be community college or 4-year. There's equal need on both sides of that. So I think that you're right. The business case helps us frame it, that we don't have the luxury anymore to allow anybody not to reach their fullest potential. We need everybody contributing, not just for their sake, but also for what we as business and non-business employers need to make sure we're able to grow and help people the best. Jennifer, do you have something you wanted to add to that? I'm sorry.
Well, I just wanted to say that Mentor Virginia's program is really in response to the need of the business community. And so, like Lori said, in order to increase retention, and we came in and were able to offer this program. In the past, Mentor Virginia had not done programs for this age range, really. And so to be able to build these relationships, and Brian, you just said something about, within the age of COVID, right now in this Connect, Focus, Grow training, we're actually including communication techniques for video conferencing, and because we know that kind of communication is different than in person, face-to-face. And so we're trying to respond in that respect too. But I do agree, everything that we're doing right now is what our partners want and need.
Exactly right. Thank you. And Jennifer, all of us have to pivot when the need comes along. And exactly right. We're in a whole new world right now. And if you can't communicate virtually, then you're gonna struggle, because that's the only way we can do it right now. So thinking of Capital One, Lori, you mentioned your focus is 18 to 24-year-olds. Is there a reason why you chose that 6-year bandwidth, or is there other things that you looked at?
Primarily, that was the model that was used in Alabang, and I think that as we think about the pipeline for hiring fresh talent, new talent, and specifically for the contact center market, and using a research-based term as opportunity youth, technically is 16 to 24. We made that 18 to 24-year-olds because of the high school graduate or equivalent necessary to work with Capital One. But it's really the opportunity for help at the beginning of someone's career. So how do we encourage them to take advantage of Capital One benefits. I think Harrison talked about that as well. So things, for example, obviously the health benefits, but tuition reimbursement, so things of that nature that come along starting at the beginning of someone's career and helping them develop their career path. If Capital One is the place of choice, that's great. And if not, there are other opportunities within Richmond. So really, it's a fresh start for new young professionals, and also a great way for us to continue working with our community partners. So it's kind of a trifecta, a triple investment, if you will, both with funds and volunteerism and job opportunities.
Well, I ask it because I think it's very appropriate, whether it be the 16 to 24 or the 18 to 24, because that's where we also see the most unemployment and underemployment as a category. We have the best chance of molding and helping people move to a different place at that age. I think when you get to 30 or 32 or 35 and you're still struggling, it's going to be very difficult to get that person where they want to be. We got a question from someone on the call. Let me make sure I can get to it. This is from Bill. Can Lori talk briefly about the cost benefit of the 6-week program for Cap 1? What are the business out-of-pocket costs versus external hires? How do you measure the relative return on investment? Good question, Bill.
Thanks for the question, Bill. Thank you for the question. So without getting into specific numbers, I think what we have seen is that the 6-week internship model has really provided us a way in which to connect with folks on a personal level, so a more holistic level. So through that and the relationships that we're able to provide, both through mentoring and also executive speakers, once they're hired, the retention, that's where it really matters. And I think having the resources surrounding them, we found that 6-week is preparing them for the jump start, so to speak, before the actual line of business training. And so we're actually tracking this data as now that we've been established for a good period of time to see how they compare in terms of retention to those with whom they've gone into the line of business training. And we're seeing that they stay longer or at par with those associates. So the investment really comes in that it's a jump start for skill preparation prior to the line of business. So they're aware of what they do, job shadowing, et cetera, et cetera. So they're aware. I think the retention and the training aspect is where the business, in addition to the outputs that they do, is where they see the biggest investment. And technically, they are all considered external hires when they come in. So and then once they're interns, they have a different leg up. But technically, they are all considered external hires as interns, and then once they become internal candidates. So it's just a continued investment.
Excellent. Thank you for that. We also talked to Paul Pando as asked, can we have access to the PowerPoint presentation? So yes, Dr. Pando, we'll make sure this is available to all on the participants today if you so desire. We have time for one more question. Mentor region is also kind of an obvious question, but maybe you can drill down a little bit more specificity. Jennifer, why did Mentor Virginia create a workforce training program?
Like I said, it was in response to the need of our business partners. We work with partners on many other programs. We have, associates or company partners who will go into schools and mentor elementary, middle, high school. And our national office has been working with Starbucks actually on this program for several years. And Starbucks wanted to increase the ability of their abilities to work with Opportunity Youth. And it was such a success that it was piloted in 5 cities last year and now is going out to several other affiliates across the country. And like I said, we're lucky enough to be one of those affiliates who's really helping to build and expand this program. But, it's really about the relationships. And that's the biggest piece, is that supervisors are not directors. They're not directing that young person. They need to be collaborating with them. And as Lori had mentioned earlier, it's all about retention. You want those young people to feel heard and to feel important to the success of the company. And that can only be done with that mentoring mindset, where there is a real care shown and a drive to help that person progress in their career and their success.
Absolutely. But Jennifer, again, it sounds like an obvious question, but I think we can't overstate or emphasize the fact that we've all got to do things differently. It's a very challenging world when the K through 12. It's just not equitable. I mean, it's not the same everywhere. So we have our young people coming out of K through 12 high school graduation, if they graduate, with all over the board as far as their skill set. So all of us have got to intervene in that very critical 18 to 24 otherwise to help them, one, understand where they want to go and take their abilities and put it into a skill set which puts them into a fully employed career path. So, all of you, Harrison, Lori, Jennifer, thank you for that wonderful information. We'll send out we'll have the PowerPoint available for others, and we just can applaud you for the work you're doing, and we, Chamber RVA, look forward to working with you more as we continue to do this as we go forward. I want to make sure we have time for some closing remarks, and we're fortunate today to have Jamie Seagraves from Capital One. Jamie serves as the Grants and Community Partnerships Manager, and again, Capital One is one of our sponsors for today and the series itself. So, Jamie, please provide us some closing comments.
Yeah, thank you, Brian. So I just wanted to share a couple of few points. First off, thank you, Chamber RVA, for facilitating today's conversation and your leadership in the Richmond region as we lean into developing creative solutions to employment and workforce needs. Now is especially a critical time to focus on equity in the education and workforce sectors. The coronavirus and a spotlight on racial inequities in the U.S. has changed the employment landscape significantly, and now is the time for the business community to reimagine the ways that community members can connect with sustainable employment opportunities that lead to financial freedom. Capital One has long been committed to supporting innovative and impactful workforce development pathways, whether providing financial support, skilled expertise through workforce development workshops that our HR department offers, or expanding the depth of our Catapult program that Lori spoke about earlier. Capital One understands that if our community thrives financially through sustainable employment, we all will thrive. Capital One is focused on working with local nonprofit partners and community organizations on developing some of those skills and assets that our local workforce needs. In addition, we've focused on supporting key partners in the Richmond region that are standing up agile resources to help many of those that have become recently unemployed due to the coronavirus, and helping them find employment opportunities and employment pathways towards regaining that financial well-being. Thank you again, Chamber RVA, today's panelists, and all of the sponsors of this speaker series for creating space for these types of conversations and the opportunity to highlight areas of innovation. Brian, thank you again for the opportunity, and thank you for everyone, all the participants, for attending.
Thank you, Jamie. My thanks as well. Everyone have a great rest of your Wednesday. Look forward to seeing you next time on our fifth session, Alternative Routes to Enter the Workforce, next Wednesday, August 26th, 1 o'clock. Please join us for the final conversation of this important forum.